Endurance. A journey across 100 miles. The morning air was crisp as Daniel and Lena stood at the trailhead. Their hiking packs tightened snug against their backs, blue for him, red for her. The sign read, Northern Crest Trail, 100 miles. They glanced at each other, silently affirming their goal. The first stretch led them across rolling green hills dotted with wildflowers swaying in the breeze. They kept a steady pace, lungs expanding with each breath of clean air and beautiful nature. By mid-morning, the trail bent into dry grasslands. The golden terrain stretched ahead like a silent challenge, the sun rising higher above their heads. Hours passed as their boots kicked up dust along the desert flats. The heat pressed in, unrelenting, but they pushed forward, conserving water and moving ahead. When they reached a sparse grove of Joshua trees, they paused. Lena checked the map, while Daniel retrieved 2 protein bars from his side pouch. This was no ordinary hike. It was a test of their resolve. At dusk, they pitched their tent beneath a pale sky, the desert cooling quickly. A small campfire glowed between them and they ate in silence, as the bright stars shined above them. On the second day, they entered the towering redwood forest. Large moss-covered tree trunks offered shelter and calm, and the air was damp with the fresh scent of pine and earth. They crossed wooden bridges and over creeks swollen with melted snow. The sound of rushing water steadied their minds and muscles. Lena stumbled on a root, catching herself just in time. She laughed, brushing off dirt. Daniel extended his hand, not because she needed it, but he was her friend and he wanted her to know she was not alone. That night, they camped beside a secluded lake surrounded by dense trees. Mist hovered above the water amid the stillness and offered comfort. After 2 days of hiking, they both slept deeply. Day 3 brought elevation. The trail narrowed as they maneuvered around the tops of granite cliffs. The mountains stood ahead like ancient sentinels, as if the mountains were unmoved by the centuries. They paused often, not out of fatigue, but to absorb the beauty of nature. Snow-capped peaks gleamed in the distance, and the only sounds were their breath and the wind blowing around the mountains. At 8,000 feet, the trail grew icy, and each step required care. They moved slowly and methodically, like climbers earning their right to be there. The wind suddenly kicked up snow along the ridgeline. Daniel and Lena ducked behind boulders, their jackets pulled tight. They waited for the wind to settle, then carried on, never discussing turning back. Cresting the mountain on day 4. The descent gave way to more beautiful views of green valleys. They ran for a while, letting gravity carry them. Their laughter echoed through the forest and they allowed themselves to share their joy of experiencing such a beautiful place. They reached a clearing where deer grazed peacefully around them. The long hike through nature was no longer a challenge. It was an ally. In the lowlands, the trail meandered toward the coast. The calming salt air reached them even before they saw the beautiful view ahead. The ocean color was magnetic and waves thundered in the distance. As they stood at the edge of a bluff, the Pacific Ocean stretched out endlessly before them. The trail was behind them now, and they both knew this journey would live within them forever. Lena took Daniel's hand. He looked down and smiled, not because the path was easy, but because every step with his friend was worth it. Sitting in silence, they watched and listened to the waves. Each one crashed and receded back out to sea, just like their previous doubts of hiking 100 miles. That night, they slept on the sand beneath a dome of stars, lulled by the sound of the surf and the knowledge that they had finished what they began. After 100 miles, their bodies were tired physically, but their spirits were refreshed. The next morning, they took one last photo together, smiling, weathered, and stronger than when they started. They turned back toward the trailhead, not to hike it again, but to remember it always. 100 miles of effort, clarity, a shared endurance, and a strengthened friendship.